Managing VAs in 2026 is one of the most expensive things you can do for your business, and I'm not talking about costs. I've hired dozens of VAs doing prospecting, appointment setting, and research, and if you're making at least 20K a month, you know this struggle perfectly. You have to consistently hire new VAs, train them, and micromanage them while you're still spending around 10 hours a week doing all of that useless work. Instead of scaling your business doing sales, marketing, you're stuck in the delivery mode. And to fix this exact problem, I made this video to show you how I used Claude Code to build agent teams to replace all my VAs, and the results were kind of surprising. It was not just cheaper and faster, but it completely changed the way I run my business. And in this video, I will show you exactly how I build the agent teams, how you can do it yourself, how you can replace different departments in your company with agent workers. So let's get into this video. So in the first part of this video, I'm gonna break down for you what I spent the most time on previously before hiring VAs, while I was hiring VAs, and why it was so painful to do it that way. So first of all, I was doing appointment setting. That's like around 10 hours a week. So the reason why we're focusing on this in section 1 of this video is because I want you to map out exactly what takes you the most time. Is it appointment setting? Is it prospecting? Is it lead research and campaign management? For me, these were a couple of things that really took a lot of time for me. And while I was hiring VAs for those, I was spending around $800 on each VA doing basically the same thing that my Claude Code agents could be doing. So here's the breakdown. Let's say you're spending 10 hours a week on appointment setting, 8 hours a week on prospecting, and 5 hours a week on lead research and campaign management. In total, this gives us 23 hours a week, $2,400 a month. While you're hiring 3 VAs, let's say those are $800 per month. Like the costs alone, like that's not a lot of money, right? But the problem is with inconsistency, training your VAs and all of that micromanagement that you need to do. Because the thing I learned after hiring dozens of VAs is that they're not so consistent. So you train them, then they deliver well for 2 or 4 weeks, and then the quality drops. That was the case for my prospecting and in my lead research, and I couldn't literally systemize these processes relying on bad VAs. So it all came down maybe to having a better VA, but honestly, the Claude Code agents is what allowed me to get much better results, much more consistent results, and I didn't need to micromanage them. I just start a prospecting run, for example, and it works perfectly. Let me show you how that actually looks like in reality. So here's my Claude Code setup. Basically, I just created this new search for existing YouTube channels, and Claude Code basically started working 3 hours ago, as you can see. And it first of all found for me 1,000 new unique channels of business owners. And then I asked it to launch a lead scorer so that I know that these channels are actually qualified to work with me. And now I basically started this task. You can see it's running. And after it's done working, then a new agent will start working. It will be probably a list cleaner agent that will clean up the full list and make it ready to upload to my email sequencer so I can start sending cold emails on scale. And the cool thing about it is I literally don't have to do any work. I just tell it to search leads in my niche. I've provided all the instructions before, and that's obviously something as a business owner you already know how to do, because I assume as a business owner who's doing at least 20K a month, you know how to create SOPs so that your team members can follow them. And this is exactly the same case here with my Claude Code agents. Right now it's working, so I'm not going to disturb it. And now before I show you how I built it real quick, if you're a business owner doing at least 20K a month and you know you're spending too much time managing your team, you're stuck in the delivery mode, and you'd like to focus more on the marketing activities that will compound your growth over time, please pay attention to the next section, because the same principle I'm about to walk you through in the next section applies directly to how I generate qualified calls from YouTube organically. I'll come back to this at the end of the video, but if this is something that interests you, feel free to check the first link in the description. And now back to the video. So what actually are the Claude Code agent teams? So if you're at least a little bit familiar with Claude Code and what Claude actually does here is, first of all, we had the old way. So we had sub agents. So basically you open a chat in Claude Code, for example, or Claude Cowork. You used to give some tasks to your agents. Maybe they had some skills, other tools, MCP servers, but basically all it was doing is basically having the main agent that was delegating the tasks to sub agents, right? You had sub agent 1, sub agent 2, and it was all linear from top to the bottom, like no crosstalk between sub agents. Now, what's different in the agent teams is that for processes that are a little bit more complex, right, where you need some cross team communication, this is so cool because now you don't only have a team lead agent like the orchestrator, you have all of those different agents, right? Researcher, personalizer, sequencer, tracker, right? All those agents, they don't not only communicate back and forth with the team lead, they can also communicate between each other. So they are all connected. They know the context of their task. They are all working on the same task. So that way, you basically have a full-time team working for you instead of having like one assistant agent doing some of your work. This is completely different, and this is something that was recently introduced in Claude Code, and that's why we're focusing on this in this video. Now, the 3 use cases I want to show you and like compare how much money you'd probably be spending on those things normally versus trying to automate this with agents is mind-blowing. So let's get to this. These are just my suggestions. Like the use case I'm going to show you that I've built is the prospecting team, right? So it replaces a lot of SDRs, VAs that were doing all of that manual work. Obviously, some of it was already automated by different tools, but this is even better because now you don't have just a tool. You have basically a team of workers that will be using those tools, right? So you could have a lead researcher, personalization agent, sequence writer, follow-up tracker, and team lead coordinator. All it takes you is just 30 minutes a week of oversight, and you can get started with $20 a month subscription of Claude. That's all you realistically need. Obviously, it will take you some time to build these systems and sort of teach and train your agents, but well, this is the same thing you're doing for human employees anyway. So this is what I did, and this is literally replacing my prospecting team. I don't hire anyone for the prospecting anymore, for anyone for the cold email outreach. It's all handled by this AI prospecting pipeline that I've built. But another use case that you can do is basically client onboarding research. So let's say instead of doing all of that manual research when a client is onboarded, all you have to do is basically start an automation. Let's say they fill up an onboarding form and there's a content researcher that will analyze their previous content, their ads, whatever service that you're running for them. It will analyze it for you, do reports based on that. And all of that research can be shared with performance analysts that will decide what's actually there to be fixed in your client's strategy, and all of that can be then delegated to synthesizer, who'll be responsible for preparing for you communication messages to your clients, meeting preps, and all that good stuff, so that when you appear on an onboarding call with your client, they actually see that you've done lots of research and you know exactly how to help them. Now, outreach department replacement work that I always hated, delegating. It's pretty similar to the prospecting team, but basically you have a prospect finder, you have profile researcher, message crafter, CRM updater, all of that good stuff. So a couple of different use cases that you can follow. What you can build is basically whatever that you hate the most. For me, that was prospecting, finding leads, reaching out to them. I've completely automated this. I'm sure you're going to find a lot more use cases that you can do. And now if you have just at least one idea, you're probably thinking how I can build this. This is what this section is for. So first of all, step 1, define your department in one prompt. So we're gonna name the roles, define the handoffs, list the skills, and we're gonna define all of this in the Claude MD file. This is the root of your folder. So let's have a look on my cursor setup. This is my sales team folder, and inside here we have Claude MD file. If you click on it, it should open for you this document, and it defines exactly what this is, what is my business. It defines all the workers, defines the pipeline, So process step by step, who should start, what happens when a prospector finishes the work. Everything is defined here. We have memory, we have plugins, we have skills, we have all the data, all the information that the agent needs as context to start any chat. And what's cool is that you don't have to pass these instructions every time. You just open a new terminal and you'll be able to get started right away. Step 2 is creating skill files, right? I showed you a finished Claude.md file, but what we need to actually allow the agents to do good work is good instructions. So think of skill files as the SOPs documents for your agents to know how to deliver this specific work. So it's actually pretty easy to create a skill file. All you have to do is basically, let's say, go to Claude Code. We're gonna create a new chat, and then we can ask it to, can you create a skill file based on my SOP document? Then we click here, add files or photos, and then we can add any sort of PDF document, text file, whatever you have to explain exactly what's the process, and then it will create a skill file on your computer. Then all you have to do once it's created, I'll show you how I did this for my content team. So basically, I asked to create or install a skill in my Claude Code globally. It read the file, then it just created this file. And then if I do /YouTube, this is the skill file that I have for helping me write scripts for my YouTube videos. And then every time you want to use it, you just use / and write the name of the skill. Now the step 3 is team orchestrator. So orchestrator is going to be the main agent that handles and manages the team. So when you have all the setup ready, like I do have here, all you should do is just ask Claude in a new session, can you start a new agent team for me? It will read then from the full Claude.md file, what's the context of your business, what are the agents, what's the tasks involved. You can obviously describe the task that you have in mind that you want to do. So task, help me run prospecting for the leads that we found today. And then it should look for the lists in my lists folder. It will then read the agent directory, and then it should spawn the lead scorer and prospector. I'm not going to do this now because I currently run this prospecting pipeline. As you can see, we are scoring leads right now. You can see that it's working currently, it's running commands, it's using tools, so it has access to everything we've built for this agent to basically complete our tasks. And then when this agent finishes, the orchestrator will know that, hey, I can pass this to the next agent who will be cleaning the list, and then I have a full list ready. So when everything is ready, all you have to do is quality check. We always want to quality check because yes, the agents are unexpectedly acting sometimes, but this is just a part of the process. Once your instructions are clear enough, there are no edge cases when agents act weirdly, then your full workflow automation should be good. So this last step I really recommend to you is human oversight. Whenever you have the final output, for example, I have the lit lists ready delivered to my folder. I want to make sure that all the fields are correctly assigned. There are no like mistakes, right? And if I see there are some mistakes, I need to basically go back to the chat and say, hey, I noticed that the first name field is incorrect for a lot of leads. Can you investigate this and help me improve the instructions for agents and the skill files they used? Then you can run a comment like this. It will help you suggest how you can fix your workspace. And that's literally all you have to do to have a finished agent team working for any department that you have, replacing all of your VAs that you used to hire or any team members that were just doing very manual work. So here are the real numbers. Before, you could be spending like $2,400 a month for 3 VAs. You'd be spending 5 to maybe 10 hours in management time. The quality was always inconsistent. Onboarding takes 2 weeks per hire. And after implementing the Claude Code Agent Teams, you can start for as little as $20 a month. I currently have the $200 subscription, but it really does not matter because with $200, you can literally complete work of at least 3 teams, so that's very easy. And management time, all you have to do is realistically just quality check every once in a while. So I would say this is like 30 minutes a week max, and quality is very consistent and reproducible. And then onboarding, it takes you maybe 10 minutes to take all of your SOPs to Claude Code to create the skill files, create the workspace. Obviously, sometime you'll need to manage it. So like I said, the 30 minutes here is what's for improving the quality of the outputs and all of that good stuff. And that's how we're going from before to after with Claude Code Agent Teams. For any department that you're running, you have at least $2,000 back. You have 10 hours back every week that you can spend on high leverage activities. And while we are talking about high leverage activities, these are usually sales and marketing. And this is something that's very hard to actually replace in your day-to-day operations, because as a business owner, as the CEO, you really have two main priorities. You have to bring new business and keep your business. And if you ever thought about running a YouTube channel, but you don't know where to start, and you know that this is the only thing you should be spending your time on, more content, more sales calls, then this is exactly how I can help you. I install YouTube client acquisition systems for B2B business owners that sell high ticket offers. And if you want to see how this could be applied to your business, then feel free to book a call with me to see how this works, how you can work with me, etc. And basically, if you want to learn more about how YouTube can help your business grow and compound over time, I recommend watching this video that you can see on the screen right now. That will explain to you in much more detail how you can leverage YouTube to make more money for your business.